You know, one of these days, I need to actually watch back one of these videos and see how it sounds since I have the fan running. It is way too hot to not run the fan though. I think I can get there this way. But, so this video, I kind of wanted to go over something I'm really excited about coming up soon. One of my favorite game series as of late has been the Metro series, based on the books by Dmitry Glukhovsky. I'm absolutely just enthralled with those books, or the games, and I've been reading through the books. I'm currently like 80% of the way through 2034. Like I try to space my time out and do certain things at different points of time, and so I really only read during my lunch period at work. But I'm tempted to start reading more because I really want to finish the book, but at the same time I don't want to read it too fast, and get through it too quick. But at the same time, I want to know what's going to happen. The book started getting good last time I read it, so this time, I got a couple more chapters deep. And I don't know, it's just to me, I've been really enjoying these books. And then I'll have 2035 to read after I finish this one. So I started replaying the games the other day, obviously starting with 2033. And the games differ from the books in some ways, which, makes sense, because you want to make the games a little bit more cinematic. The books can be a little boring. I don't want to say boring is like boring, because I haven't had that experience with the books. I've actually been quite enjoying them. But there's a lot of stuff in the books that's just kind of like non-action-y and stuff, and that's not a problem for me. It wouldn't make for good video game stuff, right? So I'm looking forward to finishing 2034 so I can start reading 2035, and I've been doing like a level or two of the games in the meantime, because 2039 comes out in February, and I am so excited for that game. This has got to be probably my favorite game series at the moment, and it's not like a long series, it's not one that's been around so long and keeps coming out with game after game after game or anything. This is a series that's had only 3 full games and 1 VR game, and the last one I think was 12 years ago, Metro Exodus. But I just recently played the games for the first time last year, and I instantly fell in love. There wasn't a doubt in my mind that the games are bad. I genuinely had so much fun with them. I played them all in console when I first played them, so now I'm experiencing them all on PC. So it's almost like a brand new experience for me. I'm just so excited for 2039. The trailers got me so hyped. And I try not to hype too much about games anymore, because sometimes games can really disappoint. And then along with my depression, sometimes I just don't get excited about things like I should or want to. So I'm trying to hold out hype for 2039. I won't try to spoil anything. The decision for who they chose to be the villain in 2039 is interesting, but in a way it kind of makes sense. just reading the books, it makes sense why they chose this specific character to be the villain for 2039. In the games, you might not get that same attitude. You can, but it's not as well thought out in the games as it is in the book. So I'm excited to see what they do with his character. I feel like if the trailer is anything to go by, there's going to be a lot of like inner turmoil kind of stuff. So maybe a lot of the game is going to be like kind of back to Metro's roots in a way of like psychological survival horror, which is awesome. Metro Exodus was, I'm a little biased. I think Metro Exodus was a fine game for what it is. The open world aspect of it was a little clunky, but I still enjoyed it a lot. I just think the Metro games work a lot better as a linear, progressive kind of story. So Metro 2039 is supposed to be going back to a linear story, and I'm kind of looking forward to that, if I'm honest. Some games work really well as open worlds, others don't work as well, and I don't know, there's a lot you can do with the lore of Metro, with Dmitry Glukhovsky's blessing, of course, but I don't know. I think the main game works best as a linear game. I think if you're going to do open world, you need to have like a brand new character in the same world that maybe interacts with the main characters in the books and games. Maybe just like somebody that's in passing or something. That would work fine for open world. But as far as like the main meat and potatoes of Metro, it just works better as a linear game. And even as a linear game, especially 2033 lets you kind of go off a little bit. You know, you're still kind of forced onto one path, but there's always options, like stuff you can do kind of outside of it. That's why they have collectibles and things that you can grab. One of the things you're supposed to collect in 2033, especially if you want the trophy, is all of Artyom's journals, or journal entries, I guess I should say. And you can't do that if you just follow the main path. So that's kind of neat, you know, and the journals just kind of help expand the lore of the world. I'm just so enthusiastic about this lore in this world. In the same way a lot of people are with Fallout. You know, there's a lot of people that absolutely love the aesthetic of Fallout. I love the aesthetic of Metro. I liked Fallout, don't get me wrong. I still think it's a great aesthetic. As far as like post-apocalyptic worlds, I think Metro just has a beat just by a bit, to me, my personal opinion. I think a close second would maybe be the Horizon series. I like the idea of architecture being what's the term for it? When nature kind of like takes things back over. That's why Horizon's so cool to me. I really like how the architecture has been taken back over by nature. I never got into The Last of Us. It just wasn't a game I really cared that much for. I know there's a fighting words to some people. It just wasn't for me. But I absolutely love the world building. I love that style of post-apocalyptic, you know, rundown cities with nature retaking everything. I just happen to like the Metro series the most when it comes to that, and that's even saying something, considering like, I would say maybe 90% of the Metro series is all underground. There's not a lot of surface. There is, but there isn't, you know. The most you get to see of the surface really in the Metro series is in Exodus. In the books, I don't know. The surface isn't really something they get to a lot. And if they do, it's like little trips here and there. Whereas in Exodus, they're on the surface like 85% of the game. Yeah, maybe like 70% of the game. And again, I don't know about the book. I haven't finished 2034 and I haven't started 2035. Maybe they're on the surface a lot more in 2035. But yeah, man, I'm super stoked for 2039. I'm looking forward to that one a lot. I'm looking forward to what they do with the main protagonist. Spoilers for the next maybe couple minutes. If you care about spoilers, I mean the trailer gives it away. So I mean, I'm not really spoiling any more than the trailer is already spoiled. But Hunter, I think Hunter's all but been confirmed to be the main villain at 2039. He's supposed to be the new leader of the Fourth Reich. And I just think it's so fitting, at least from the book perspective. Replaying the games, I'll have to pay more attention to his character in the games. Because he's barely in 2033, I think. I think he shows up to Artyom, gives him kind of a task, and then I think he only shows up maybe once in 2033. I think he shows up more in Exodus more than anything, and that's not much. And Last Light, of course. So replaying the games, I'll have to pay a little bit more attention to his character and see if he feels the same as he does in the books. In the books, Hunter is this kind of very incredibly aggressively natured, like, beast. I would say Hunter is more attuned to a beast than he is of anything. He lives so strictly by the Ranger's code, and one of the part of the Ranger's code is who else but us, and Hunter is absolutely on board with that idea, and I think it's so cool because again, all spoilers, but there's one part in 2034, the book, where he's talking with Sasha after they're ready to go to I forgot the station they're working towards. Sevastopol, I think. I can't pronounce the Savachank or something. I can't pronounce it. But he's talking to Sasha and he's trying not to let his guard down too much, but he's kind of telling her no, he's not telling Sasha. He's telling Homer how he's like, I need you to always remind me. I feel like I'm losing myself. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The very thing I'm fighting, I'm becoming that. Don't let me forget. And Homer's like, I won't let you forget. And Hunter's like, no, I'm serious. Like, you can't let me forget this. And Homer's like, all right, bet. And I just like the characters in 2034, Hunter, just like in the games and the books, he's very much in and out of the story. He'll be a big part of the story for a little while, and then he'll disappear. And then he'll show up again at this random time. Like, he went off to do some stuff. Homer and Sasha are hanging out with, like, this musician dude, Leonida. And they're all just, like, chewing around the campfire, and Leonida's hitting on Sasha pretty hard, and Homer's like, I don't like this, and then Sasha's flirting a little bit with Leonida, and then suddenly she just feels this grip on her shoulder, and she looks up, and it's Hunter, and it's like, well, there he is again. He disappeared, but now he's back. And there's something supernatural about him in the books, because in the games, Artyom's set to be like this, I don't want to necessarily say unkillable, but he's kind of meant to be like the savior, he's very much written to be the be-all, end-all of saving humanity and what have you. Where technically, if you take into account the story, the injuries and stuff he should have received and the amount of times he should have died, he survived all throughout the game series. Like, he's supernatural in his own right, but in the book, Hunter is very much supernatural. He disappears and he reappears out of nowhere sometimes, and the attacks that he's had to deal with and he survived even before the series took place. And then the one scene where he saves Sasha from the creature, you know, and he gets all mangled and stuff. And he's out for like 4 days, and technically should be out longer because, like, he basically broke his arm, and he just gets up at one point after Sasha leaves because Sasha gives him a gift, and Homer comes in and he's like, I'm ready to go, and Homer's like, dude, you're basically beating on death's door, you're already ready to go, and Hunter's like, fuck you, dude, I'm ready to go. He's such a cool character. Like, he's definitely not somebody that you're going to be friends with. He's very much an asshole. Like, Hunter is a flaming asshole. But it's like, at the same time, he's going to protect people. And he's going to get drastic with it, like, because, what station is it? I think it's Tula Station is infected with this disease that, like, for the most part, people don't think is curable. I haven't gotten to that part in the book yet, but, like, so his whole thing is, well, Tula Station's infected, we can't let that infection out, so we're gonna have to, like, basically purge the entire station. And Homer and Sasha both have a different dynamic with him, but their way of, like, trying to dissuade him from doing bad things is different. Because Homer is kind of like, I'm going to argue with you a couple times. If you're not going to listen, it is what it is. Do your thing, boo. Whereas Sasha's like, I don't want you to become a monster. Like, the dynamic is strange because I think it's one of those where, like, Sasha doesn't realize it's not okay to have a younger person with an older person, because she very much falls in love with him near the start of the book when they first meet. But as they journey together and stuff, her view of him changes. I think she starts to understand that Hunter is definitely too old for her. But, like, she still thinks of him, I don't want to say necessarily as a father figure, but definitely as somebody that she looks up to in some ways. And she doesn't want him to do evil things, to hurt people, to punish people. And Hunter's constantly telling her, like, I gotta do what I must, and she's like, you're not like this, Hunter. And he's always like, you don't know how I am, you barely know me, we've known each other maybe like a couple days at most. And she's like, yeah, but I get this instinct about you. And the dynamic is really neat, because there's a lot of character development, right? Because at first, you know, she's in love with him, but then she realizes that's not a good idea. Then she might think of him as a father figure. I'm not quite sure she thinks of him as a father figure or not. Definitely a figure of some sort, like an older brother, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I missed that part in the book of what she actually thinks of him like. But compared to Homer, she's more thought-provocative, which is weird because Homer's the one that's supposed to be the provocative one. Like, if you've seen The Walking Dead, Dale is like the moral center of the group, and I would say Homer is kind of akin to that kind of character, but I guess with Hunter, he just kind of understands that that's just who Hunter is. You know, Hunter is supposed to be this badass that'll do anything it takes, and by anything, he literally means anything it takes. He doesn't have to like it, but it is what it is. But it's also interesting because Hunter doesn't necessarily have friends. He doesn't want friends. As far as I can tell in 2034, he doesn't think of Homer and Sasha as friends, or much of anything really, but he also doesn't deject them either. I think deject is the right word. He's not like completely kicking them out of his life. He does need them in some capacity, but it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship, right? And Hunter understands that. I don't think Homer and Sasha really understand that, but Hunter only keeps them around for like symbiosis. Like Homer is supposed to be this one helping tell a story, writing things down, journaling, and kind of the moral center and old and wise and stuff. And I think Hunter wants him around because it keeps him grounded to some degree and reminds him that like they're still good and stuff. But he could also do without Homer. That's why in multiple occasions in the book he just kind of takes off without Homer. And then Homer is left like, where the fuck did he go? And then Sasha, on the other hand, like maybe it's the daughter he never had or something. At one point, it was kind of cute in its own way. She realized that Hunter had used the knife, and she's like, "Oh, I see you used the knife I gave you." And he's like, "What else would I use it for?" And she's like, "Oh," you know. And I thought that was kind of cool. There's still humanity in Hunter, as much as he's kind of the epitome of the Rangers, you know. If not us, then who? I don't know. I think they're really well written in 2034. Again, like I said, I'll have to pay more attention to Hunter in the games now that I'm replaying them. At the beginning, I haven't seen Hunter again in 2033. The only time you see him is at the very beginning. You see him at the very beginning when yeah. So I'll just have to start paying more attention to his character to see if I could definitely see his transition into being the main antagonist of 2039 through the books. The games, I don't remember it that way, but it has been over a year since I played them. That's why I'm replaying them again, so I can better myself, relearn things, you know. I'm just so excited for 2039. I think one of the weirdest things about the books so far is the main character of 2033 and 2035 in all three games is Artyom. But the Artyom in those games, in the two books, is not the same Artyom as the Artyom in 2034. I know Russia has a lot of common names, so maybe Artyom is just a very common name, but it was definitely a choice to make one of your main characters in 2034 have the same exact name as your protagonist in the other two books. It was a choice. It could have gone with literally any other name, but maybe there's a reason for it I just haven't read yet. Dmitri probably knows what he's doing. I mean, it's his book. And also, another thing I think is really cool is Glukhovsky is hella based. I think he has an arrest warrant out from Russia, since he's pretty critical of the Russian government, and that's just fucking based. Please, I know Dmitri will probably never see this video, but if he does, please stay safe, Dmitri. That's a big target on your back when the Russian government doesn't want you alive. So please stay safe. He's a big supporter of Ukraine and humanitarian in general. He's just a pretty based dude from what I've read up on. Yeah, no, I'm so fucking excited for 2039, dude. I'm so ready for it. I'm excited for a couple games that are coming out yet, but that's the one I'm most excited for. The Pod Racers game comes out later this year, and Control Resonant comes out, I think, in a month or two. But the game I'm most excited for is Metro 2039. That's pretty much it.